Listen carefully. There is a truth that most men will never grasp, though it sits silently at the core of power itself. You have seen it in fleeting moments, in the stillness of a leader's gaze, in the calm hands of someone who cannot be shaken, even as the world burns. It is not noise. It is not bravado. It is not the hollow shout of arrogance. It is something far older, far deeper, and far more dangerous. The world is filled with men who wear masks. They polish them with expensive suits, with grand speeches, with false laughter that echoes, just a little too loud in crowded rooms. They perform confidence as an actor performs on a stage, yet beneath the surface, the mask trembles. The moment a storm arrives, the mask cracks, and you see what lies beneath: fear, insecurity, doubt. You must understand this. Arrogance is not confidence. Arrogance is desperation disguised as pride. Boasting is not strength. Boasting is the leaking of weakness that could not stay contained, and those who mistake noise for confidence will always find themselves powerless when silence descends. The truly confident man is different. He is the one who does not need to prove himself in every breath. He is the one who can remain still while others panic, whose presence fills the air more strongly than any speech. His confidence does not come from the eyes of others. It is not fed by applause or stolen from admiration. It is self-contained, self-sustaining, a quiet flame that does not flicker in the wind. Think of it as a force of nature. A mountain does not shout to remind you of its height. The ocean does not roar to remind you of its depth. Their power is unquestioned because it simply exists. This is the essence of true confidence. The trait that defines it is not noise, but stillness. Not the frantic effort to be noticed, the calm certainty that notice will come, inevitably, without effort. When you encounter such a person, you feel it instantly. You do not need them to explain their worth. You feel it in their posture, in the unbroken rhythm of their breathing, in the unshaken clarity of their words. This is not performance. This is presence, and presence cannot be faked. But here lies the challenge. Most people will never cultivate this presence because it requires the very thing they fear most: silence with themselves. To walk into a room and let the room bend around you without forcing it, you must first conquer the endless noise within your own mind. The doubts, the fears, the restless need for recognition, all of them must be mastered, or else they will betray you. True confidence, then, is not about domination of others. It begins with mastery of self. The one who governs his own mind cannot be governed by another. The one who finds peace within cannot be unsettled by storms without. And so the trait you seek is not external but internal, not loud but silent, not weak, unshakable. And as Machiavelli would whisper to any prince, a ruler who cannot master himself will soon be ruled by others. You see, the world teaches you to chase recognition. From childhood, you are trained to raise your hand, to seek gold stars, to collect applause. Society rewards noise. The louder you shout, the more people turn their heads. But what it does not tell you is this: the loudest man in the room is rarely the strongest. He is the one begging to be seen because he cannot see himself. Confidence, true confidence, is not a mask you wear. It is not a performance to convince others you are unshaken. It is a vibration, a frequency that others feel without understanding why. And this is why the most powerful trait of the truly confident cannot be taught by the crowd. It must be discovered within. Pause for a moment and imagine this: a storm lashes against the walls of a fortress. Lightning cracks, winds howl, the earth shakes. Inside the fortress, some men panic, racing to board windows and reinforce gates. But in the great hall, one man sits by the fire, unmoved. His stillness is not ignorance. He knows the danger. His stillness is mastery. He does not waste energy on fear. He does not waste breath on panic. He acts when action is needed, and until then, he waits. This stillness, this composure is the essence of the trait. What is this trait? It is composure under pressure, ability to remain calm while others lose themselves. It is the invisible crown of the confident, the aura that bends the will of others without a single command. For when chaos arrives, the man who does not tremble becomes the anchor. Every soul in the room instinctively orbits around him. Think of great leaders in history. They were not always the loudest generals or the most flamboyant kings. They were the ones who could stand amidst chaos and radiate order. Caesar crossing the Rubicon, Alexander before battle, even the philosophers sitting in silence, moved nations with the gravity of their composure. Machiavelli understood this: the world bends not to noise, but to presence. And here is where modern science quietly agrees. Neuroscience shows us that human beings are wired to mirror those around them. Anxiety spreads like fire. Panic is contagious. But calm is also contagious. The man who remains composed in crisis rewires the nervous systems of those who look at him. He becomes a living fortress. And everyone, knowingly or not, leans on his steadiness. This is why the most powerful trait of true confidence is not arrogance, not boldness, not empty displays. It is composure, a rare and dangerous strength, because once you have it, others begin to follow you without knowing why. Your silence becomes louder than their shouting. Your calm becomes more commanding than their chaos. But understand this: composure is not passivity. It is not laziness or inaction. It is patience sharpened into a weapon. It is the discipline to act only when the moment demands, and to remain unmoved when the moment does not. Those who mistake composure for weakness will always underestimate it. And by the time they realize their mistake, it is too late. To cultivate this, you must do what most fear: embrace discomfort without escape. Sit in silence when your mind screams for distraction. Withstand criticism without rushing to defend yourself. Endure uncertainty without reaching for shallow reassurances. Each time you resist the urge to tremble, your composure hardens into armor, and soon it becomes who you are. And when that day comes, you will not need to shout. You will not need to boast. You will not need to demand recognition. You will command it simply by existing. Consider this: every human being you meet is fighting an invisible war. Some wrestle with fear of failure, others with hunger for approval, many with the crushing weight of their own doubt. These battles do not scream aloud. You can see them in restless eyes, in trembling hands, in voices that crack when silence grows too long. Now ask yourself, how does the truly confident man differ? He does not escape the inner war. He simply wins it. The difference lies not in the absence of fear, but in the mastery of it. For fear, when ungoverned, makes a slave. But fear, when governed, becomes fuel. This is where the most powerful trait sharpens itself. Composure is not born from ignorance. It is born from mastery. The man who has never faced fear cannot be calm. The man who has walked through fire and returned carries a silence that terrifies the untested. His composure is forged in the crucible of hardship, and that is why it cannot be faked. Machiavelli understood this. He saw rulers rise and fall. He studied the trembling hands of princes who inherited power they had not earned, and he saw them collapse when tested. But those who had suffered before they reigned, those who had endured betrayal, war, and hunger, they were different. Their rule did not depend on the illusions of others. It depended on the steel within themselves. Modern science again whispers its agreement. Neuroscience shows us that when you expose yourself to stress voluntarily, through discipline, through discomfort, through deliberate challenge, your nervous system adapts. The storm that once shook you becomes a breeze. The fire that once burned you becomes warmth. In time, you can remain calm even in the face of chaos because your body has learned, I have been here before, I will not break. And this is why most will never taste true confidence. They seek comfort instead of challenge. They chase approval instead of truth. They avoid silence, preferring endless distraction. But comfort breeds fragility, and fragility shatters at the first strike. So what must you do? You must walk willingly into the crucible. Place yourself where your voice trembles and remain there until it steadies. Stand before your fear until it loses power. Endure the criticism of others without the desperate need to defend yourself. In time, the flame of composure ignites, and once lit, it does not go out. This is the paradox. The world bows not to those who pretend to be fearless, to those who have faced fear and transcended it. You do not earn respect by shouting louder. You earn it by carrying silence that cannot be shaken. And when others see it in you, something primal awakens in them. They trust you. They follow you. They feel that in your presence, their own storms calm. Do you see now why this trait is the most powerful? Because it transforms not only you, but everyone who stands in your orbit. You become the eye of the storm, unmoved, unbroken, unshaken. And that is a force no mask of arrogance can ever match. Imagine entering a room where every voice collides. Laughter forced, stories exaggerated, boasts thrown like daggers into the air, each person scrambling for validation, for the fleeting crown of attention. But then, the door opens. A single figure steps inside. He does not raise his voice. He does not rush to speak. Yet slowly, one by one, the voices quiet. Heads turn. The air shifts. Why? Because true confidence bends reality. It changes the atmosphere without effort. Presence is a gravity field. Those who possess it do not chase attention. Attention is drawn to them, as stars orbit a hidden sun. This is where the most powerful trait of the truly confident reveals its second face, power of restraint. The arrogant cannot hold silence, it burns them. The insecure cannot hold stillness, it exposes them. But the confident man wields silence as a weapon. He knows when to speak and, more importantly, when not to. Every pause, every moment of calm amplifies his presence. His words gain weight because they are not wasted. Machiavelli himself would have smiled at this. He knew that in courts of power, those who spoke endlessly revealed their weakness. The wise ruler said little, listened much, and chose his words like arrows, sharp, few, impossible to ignore. For speech without restraint is a flood that drowns itself. But measured silence is a blade that cuts deeper than any roar. Science again supports what the ancients already knew. When you pause before speaking, when you breathe before answering, your nervous system regulates, you project calm. Those around you unconsciously mirror it. The result: authority without effort, influence without demand, respect without begging for it. Think of it this way: in a world obsessed with noise, silence is power. In a world addicted to speed, stillness is dominance. The man who is not rushed, who does not fear the gap of silence, reveals that he does not live enslaved by others' expectations. He moves at his own rhythm, and that rhythm commands. But here lies the danger. Many confuse restraint with weakness. They think silence means uncertainty, and they will try to provoke you, to drag you into their chaos, to force you to defend yourself. Resist this temptation. For every unnecessary word you speak is a gift of power to another. Composure means not only remaining calm in chaos, but refusing to waste energy proving yourself where proof is unnecessary. You must understand this, Ari. Power is not in being heard the most. Power is in being heard the least and remembered the longest. Your restraint turns every word into iron, and soon, those around you will find themselves hanging on your silences more than they ever listened to another's shouting. And so, the trait we explore deepens. Composure gives you calm in storms. Restraint sharpens your presence into something unforgettable. Together, they create a kind of confidence that does not need to be explained, only felt. There is a secret most never realized: confidence is not about you alone. It is about the field you create around you. The truly confident shape the emotional weather of those near them. They do not simply endure storms, they calm them. They do not simply resist fear, they dissolve it in others. This is why people gravitate to them in crisis. They become a living sanctuary. Think of the battlefield again. Soldiers shaken, uncertain, their courage faltering. Then a commander steps forward. His voice does not need to rise. His calm gaze steadies them more than 1,000 speeches. He radiates order, and in his presence, chaos shrinks. This is no illusion. It is biology. Neuroscience tells us that humans mirror the nervous systems around them. Your calm heart can regulate another's racing pulse. Your steady breath can slow the breathing of those who stand beside you. Confidence, therefore, is not only personal, it is contagious. Machiavelli, though a cynic of human weakness, understood this truth. A prince who panicked infected his people with fear. A prince who stood steady became a symbol, larger than himself. His composure turned into the state's composure. His restraint turned into the people's patience. And whether he ruled by fear or love, one thing was constant: his own emotional mastery defined the strength of his kingdom. But let us step even deeper. Modern physics hints at something even stranger. The idea that energy itself is not confined within your skin. Your heart emits an electromagnetic field measurable several feet beyond your body. Your thoughts, your emotions, they ripple outward like unseen waves. Imagine, then, the impact of carrying true composure. You are not just calm for yourself. You radiate calm into the space itself. Others feel it without knowing why. This is why arrogance fails. The arrogant radiate insecurity, no matter how loudly they speak. The boastful leak desperation, no matter how polished their words, and others sense it, even if they cannot explain it. But the truly confident, their presence whispers a truth into the air. Here stands someone who cannot be moved. And this truth alters every interaction. You must see now why this trait is so dangerous. It cannot be stolen, cannot be faked. It is forged only by self-mastery, and once you carry it, others surrender power to you willingly. They anchor themselves to your steadiness. They align to your rhythm, and without commands, without force, you become the center of gravity. This is the moment where confidence evolves into sovereignty. No crown is needed. No title must be claimed. The trait itself, composure turned into presence, restraint turned into gravity, makes you a ruler in any room you enter. Others orbit you because their own storms quiet in your light. And this is why the masses will never understand true confidence. They will keep chasing noise. They will keep mistaking volume for power. But you, if you choose to walk this path, will discover that the strongest voice is silence, and the strongest movement is stillness. Confidence, at its highest form, is no longer about appearing strong. It is about becoming unshakable. At this stage, the most powerful trait reveals itself as something far greater than composure or restraint. It becomes sovereignty over your own inner world, and when you rule yourself, the world outside bends accordingly. Think of a king who is not swayed by whispers, not provoked by insults, not seduced by empty praise. His enemies cannot manipulate him because he does not crave their approval. His allies cannot control him because he does not depend on their validation. He acts from a center that is immovable. This is the highest power of confidence, independence of spirit. Machiavelli wrote that a prince must learn not to be the plaything of fortune. Fortune is the storm, unpredictable, violent, merciless. Most men are its victims. They are thrown here and there by luck, by failure, by fear. But the confident man does not kneel before fortune. He stands against it. He knows that though he cannot control the wind, he can command his own sails. And that control is enough to carve his path through chaos. Here is where science and ancient wisdom once again converge. Psychology calls it emotional regulation, the ability to govern your inner state when the outer world rebels. Quantum theory speaks of the observer effect, that reality itself bends to the consciousness that perceives it with clarity. Spiritual traditions have said the same for millennia. The outer world is a reflection of the inner. To master yourself is to bend reality itself. Do you see the danger of this knowledge? The masses will never reach it because they are too easily swayed. One insult wounds them. One rejection collapses them. One loss convinces them they are nothing. But you must rise beyond this fragility. The sovereign self does not rise or fall with fortune. It remains steady, commanding, unmoved. And once you cultivate this, something extraordinary happens. People begin to sense it. They sense that you cannot be bribed with flattery, shaken by threats, or enslaved by fear. You stand apart, not arrogant, but sovereign. And sovereignty is magnetic. Men envy it. Women are drawn to it. Enemies fear it. Allies respect it. Without needing to declare power, you embody it. But this requires sacrifice. To gain sovereignty, you must strip yourself of dependence. You must endure the silence of standing alone. You must forego the cheap comfort of approval and walk through the cold fire of self-reliance. Few dare it. Fewer complete it. But those who do emerge transformed, not merely confident, but untouchable. For the most powerful trait of the truly confident is not what the world sees. It is what the world cannot take away. Ask yourself this: what remains of a man when his voice is gone, when his body is dust, when his name is no longer spoken on the lips of the living? For most, the answer is nothing. They vanish as if they never existed. But for a rare few, something endures. Not the noise they made, not the arrogance they displayed, the presence they carried. True confidence imprints itself beyond the moment. It lingers in memory, in stories, in the quiet way others begin to live differently after meeting you. This is why the most powerful trait of the confident man becomes eternal. He does not simply influence a room while he is in it. He haunts it after he leaves. His presence continues to shape the air, the decisions, the lives of those who once stood within his orbit. Think of history's greatest figures. They are remembered not merely for their victories, but for the way their very presence shifted reality. Alexander's soldiers followed him into impossible battles because his confidence was unshakable. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire in chaos, yet his calm stillness became a beacon that has endured for centuries. These men are remembered not because they shouted, but because their silence still speaks. Machiavelli studied such men, and he saw the truth. Legacy is not built by noise. It is built by presence. For presence is not bound by time. It is energy, imprinted on the minds of all who encounter it. And when your presence is born of true confidence, composure, restraint, sovereignty, it becomes indestructible. Science offers a shadow of this truth. Energy cannot be destroyed, it only transforms. And so, when your confidence radiates as energy, it does not vanish when you leave a room. It lingers, reshaping others' nervous systems, their thoughts, their choices. Your presence becomes a ripple in the fabric of their reality. But to reach this stage, you must go beyond yourself. Confidence cannot end with your own sovereignty. It must radiate outward, not through arrogance, through unshakable steadiness that others cannot forget. Every person you meet becomes a vessel you imprint. Every conversation becomes a seed planted. And one day, long after you are gone, the fruit of that presence will still be alive in the world. This is why the most powerful trait of the truly confident is feared, because it is immortal. Arrogance dies the moment applause fades. Noise vanishes when the room empties. But presence, true confidence, endures like a shadow cast across centuries. The question then is not whether you will leave an impression. It is whether that impression will be shallow or eternal. At last, Machiavelli leads you into the grand hall of power, the place where everything converges. Here, reputation becomes more important than reality. He whispers that a ruler does not need to be loved nor truly hated, only respected and feared when necessary. He shows you how leaders wear masks, changing them as easily as an actor on stage. One mask for the people, another for allies, a harsher one for enemies, and yet another for family. None of them are the true face. Machiavelli reminds you the mask that survives is the one that convinces. And so, power is not about truth. It is about perception. The final lesson is clear: appear virtuous, act ruthless, and never confuse appearance with reality.